Hi, everybody. This is Frank Garon, and I'm here today with my good friend Peter Walters from Video Profits Club and your Simple Video Profit System. Now, the great thing about Peter is he's perfected a way for the average person to start a very lucrative home-based business simply by using existing video equipment, including a mobile phone, and turning that into a profit by making special interest videos. And when I first heard this proposition that you could actually make money working from home, shooting these very simple, very easy to do special interest videos without a lot of equipment, I found it hard to believe. But Peter, there definitely are some questions here, and I'd like to welcome you. Can somebody really make money with special interest videos? Somebody with no training, expertise, experience, is that even possible?
Yes, it's certainly possible. Most people, if they are professional videographers, shall we say, do have a lot of equipment, of course. But people who are amateur videographers who fancy making a little bit of money with their videography can certainly do so.
So I understand that you're saying it's the value of the information itself, not necessarily the Hollywood sort of production effects and etc.
That's right. There's nothing wrong with making it to a much higher specification if you are professional and know what you're doing. But if you're an amateur with very little knowledge of video production or video at all, then you can still do the job on very simple equipment.
Well, that's great. And another question that comes to mind is, how do I know what subjects to make? How do I figure out what topics will sell, etc.?
Now, the secret here is to look for a market, a hungry market,
Okay.
who are longing for the information you have to give them. Now, what you've got to do is find subjects that the major stores are not covering.
Right.
But where the real money is instruction and information.
Exactly.
And teaching. Now, I used to have a set of, well, I still have actually, a set of 3 DVDs with a chap called Tim Stockdale, who is a top show jumper. I had a set of 3 DVDs which covered basic, medium and advanced level show jumping, and I used to sell them for $45, $47, and with a special price if you took all 3. If you're using an expert like that, and one of the things I go into in my Cash from Your Camcorder DVD is how you can work with an expert in your field,
Right.
if you don't happen to be an expert yourself. You will have to pay him a commission. I find 10% of gross is generally about right.
What if I'm not a camera geek? Although fortunately it turns out I am, but what if all I had was my iPhone and maybe something like Camtasia, a simple video editing software set? Is that really all I need, Peter, honestly?
Yes, it is, honestly, because some DVDs can be made simply by you sitting in front of a camera, talking, perhaps getting a few screenshots to demonstrate what
Okay.
you're talking about on Camtasia. You can present it yourself. You don't actually need to work with an expert if you are an expert, or you can find out all the information that you need. Now, that can be done. I'm sure you're aware of sites that where you can post a question saying, for example, I am going to make a DVD on such and such a subject,
Right.
but I'd like to know what you would like to know. You can give them a free or a discounted DVD for answering your questions.
Sure.
But once you've done that, if people say 5 points, well, there are 5 headings you must have in your DVD, so you will be making the very DVD that people want.
That's ingenious because your audience is telling you, I'm interested in XYZ, but you're saying your audience, there's ways to find out exactly what your audience will buy and is willing to pay for, and I love that idea.
Exactly, yes. You're asking your audience what they want to know.
If somebody's working full-time and they want to start a side business, this is, to my mind, this is the perfect side or part-time business that can develop into a full-time income. And why do you think that is?
Well, when I started, I was working full-time
Okay.
myself in an unrelated job, and then I subsequently made arrangements with my then boss to work for him 3 days a week prior to coming out and going full-time myself. If you're not very good in front of a camera, and some people aren't, why not approach your local amateur dramatic society? They've got plenty of
Ooh,
people
that's
who
a
are
great idea.
used to being in front of an audience. They can present it for you.
And they're always looking to sort of add to their resume or their experience and so on. And I've done community theater myself, and I would have been quite happy to do that. Okay, so I can start the business part-time, but what if I sold 100 copies of a particular DVD now? The next thing I'm saying is, oh my God, how do I burn 100 copies? How do I mail them? How do I fulfill them? How do I run them to a post office?
Well, burning 100 copies, you can buy your own duplication kits if you wish to, but there are a number of duplication houses who will burn all those copies for you. There are one or two which will even have a fulfillment service as well. Now, I do that. There are a couple in England, and there are one or two in America if we're looking at England and the States, and you should be looking at both markets. In fact, I've sold in every continent, possibly not in every country, but certainly in every continent. And there are duplication and fulfillment houses in both the States and Great Britain that you can use, and they will fulfill for you, and their costs are most reasonable.
So you're saying it would cost you money, in essence, time and money to fulfill yourself, so it only makes sense to have somebody else fulfill for you, sort of from day one, really, then, yes?
Yes, I do say that. If you're only going to sell 20 or 50 copies, then it's not so bad, but
Right.
we'll be looking at selling far more than that. If you're doing the job right, 500 copies is easy. My best-selling one sold 11,000 copies in 3 years.
It's the thing people need to understand is you film one time, you produce and edit one time, and you can sell this stuff for years.
My earliest set of DVDs were shot in and edited in 1991,
Okay.
and they're still selling today. So if you can build up by filming, shall we say, one every 3 months, one every 4 months, you can build up a nice collection which will sell over a number of years and bring you a good residual income.
We talk about overtime and seasons and everything else. What if I was somebody watching this, Peter, and I needed to make money today? Can I really make money today, or is there a setup time, a ramp-up time?
There'll be a little bit of time. I think there's a lot of hoo-ha talked about do this today. Everything's got to be today. Well, it's not going to be today.
Okay.
It's going to be next week. You've got to spend 4 or 5 days researching your subject properly, really, scripting out what you're going to say, assuming you're just going to sit in a room and talk to camera. You're going to spend a day or so talking to the camera because you're not going to get every take right first time. You're then going to spend another day, perhaps 2 days, editing it, titling it and so on, and making sure it's as perfect as it can be. So it's going to be at least a week, and if we're being ungenerous, say a fortnight before you've got it ready for market. You then can start advertising it and marketing it in whatever way you've decided.
Okay, and so you're saying start to finish, within 2 weeks, a fortnight, I can have something ready to sell, and potentially just no more than by using my iPhone or my Galaxy or what have you.
Yes, that's perfectly true, yes.
Okay, now let me ask you another question, Peter. Can I get these specialist DVDs in stores, like, for example, over there, Smith's or Foyle's over here, Barnes & Noble, and of course, what about Amazon? What about Amazon or eBay?
Well, Amazon and eBay are both very good markets, particularly if you have original things like such as the things you'll be making. I find that on Amazon and eBay there are lots of repeated items. People are selling the same thing. But if you've got an original production, eBay and Amazon are both very good markets for that. The major stores are less so. I wouldn't think in terms of major stores if I were you. They won't generally deal with one-off producers. They want to do major distributors.
Right.
And your specialist title, while that's a strength, marketing it in your own way, it's a weakness in a major store where they will just want the big general appeal. And also, they may well want sale or return from you, and you could be lumbered, if they don't sell, with a stock holding that you didn't actually want and that you then have to try and get rid of.
Well, what about the editing, though? A, is that hard? B, is there a learning curve? And C, what if I just don't want to do it? What if I'm too busy? How can I get my raw footage converted into a DVD that's sellable and presentable?
Well, if you want to learn to do it yourself, most of the programs now, Camtasia for an example, is very simple to use. There is also Serif, which I recommend, their Movie Plus 8. That is a very simple program to use. They have a book showing you exactly how to do it, and with Serif they have the best customer support service bar none. You can pick up a phone, get on to a techie and say, I'm having this problem. They will sort it for you. I've had to phone them a few times and I've never failed to get it sorted straight away. If you really don't have the time and you don't want to do it yourself, you can find a local videographer who will do it for you, an amateur hobbyist perhaps. What I would recommend in Great Britain is that you contact the Institute of Videography. You will find someone there who is prepared to edit it for you. If you're in America, well, you can still contact them, because you can send them a sound card or you can put it into a Dropbox or something. They will then edit it for you and drop it back to you.
So in other words, we can find people that'll do the editing for us, yeah?
Yes.
And I think the last two questions come to mind. How can I sell this without spending a lot of money? And do I need a big fancy internet presence? What do you say to that?
You've already mentioned a couple of things there: Facebook, Amazon, eBay, etc. They are not expensive to get into. And nowadays there's also YouTube. You can put interactive links in YouTube as well. Now, your website, it's better to have a website, a dedicated website for your DVDs.
Right.
Nowadays that's not expensive to set up. WordPress and iPage are both very simple to set up if you want to get an internet presence going very, very cheaply. They both have template-based websites that you can build, and it's not expensive at all to do that.
We're talking $10 to $12 a month, basically. And what do you say about advertising?
What I would suggest is an appropriate magazine where you have small classified adverts, which are very cheap, if you word them properly, pointing them to your website. One point I would like to say is that there are distributors who will take your DVD from you, design the covers, source the photographs and market them, and they will take a fairly large commission from that, so you're not getting as much from each sale as you would if you were marketing them yourself. But if you are very short of time, then it is a way to get going, and I can recommend a number of distributors who will do that.
So Peter, thank you very much for giving us your time.
Great pleasure.
And the expertise. This is invaluable. This is life-changing for the right people.
Yes, all sorts of people can do this, whether they're professional videographers, amateur videographers who would like to be professional, or someone who is an expert in their field, or even just an ordinary housewife or redundant person who wants to take their future into their own hands. Anyone can do it.
And give us that website once again, Peter, before we ring off.
You can buy the course on yoursimplevideoprofitsystem.com, and you can join the membership site for ongoing education at videoprofitsclub.com.
Excellent. Again, Frank Garon and Peter Walters, we hope you found this information helpful. Peter, I'd like to thank you for putting together such an easy system, and I hope people watching this will take your no-risk, 100% satisfaction guaranteed offer to get started today. Thanks again, Peter.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Okay, bye, everybody.